to host all of you today for a wonderful session with Christoffel Snyders. And the topic is very interesting. It's about three brains. We just started trying to cope with one. Now he says there are three. And Christoffel is a PCC coach with close to 3,000 hours of coaching experience. He's a visiting faculty at the IE Business School in Madrid. He also is a supervisor and both clinical and for coaches. And he runs ICF credentialed programs on neuroscience. He's an author of now his second book. Christopher, you might want to wave the book, and Shilpa, you might like to spotlight. So that so, and a lot of his there you go, relationship. Which brain is talking? So yeah, it's in the making.
Yes.
Yeah, and he brings a lot of passion to today and always to his work in terms of helping people bring their best version. So he is a firm believer that in the fact that everybody can add a lot of value to their work by understanding these three brains. So without further ado, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Christoffel, and we hand it over to you for the session today. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us today.
Thank you so much for letting me be in India and for everybody around the world. At this, I thought we're going to see everybody from India, but people from Spain, even from San Francisco stepped in, Italy. So I'm really grateful to see you, as I said, from my side. You have my full commitment for full energy and knowledge and all the kind of things. What are we going to do today? We have 1.5 hour time. So the most important thing that you get out of it, what you like to get out of it. As you can see and heard, I'm almost, and I am not almost, I am the founder of the three brain coaching concept. I made training for it 4 years ago. And actually, there are only 2 books written about three brains. And in 2 weeks' time, 3, because then my second book comes out about it. One is the oldest one, pitifully from a person who died 3-4 years ago, and mine. And it is almost amazing that there are not more about it. But we're going to explain today and let you feel today and experience today how it could benefit all of us. If you have questions, you can just, I would say, interrupt me and just speak out or put them in the chat. I will not always look at the chat, otherwise you see me almost moving my head like I'm watching tennis, and it is a little bit less for the concentration of everybody.
I'll keep an eye, Christoffel.
Awesome, thank you so much. So what are we going to do today? From which brain are you coaching? Your head, your heart, or your gut? And the amazing thing about it is that we all know actually about heart and gut. And how many times did you not say in your life, hey, just follow your gut feeling, or just follow your heart, especially when you talk about love, or let's think this through. No, actually, and I always say in the Western science, made it clear 30, 40 years ago, it's actually true. We have brains there. In other kind of regions in the world, it was already thousands of years known, not scientifically proven, but it is now actually scientifically proven. So what we're going to do today, and thank you for this beautiful little slide you made for LinkedIn. So I could not resist to copy it because it really looks amazing. So all the kudos to you who made it. What's the learning objectives? A little bit of the science, just to give you an idea why I would say why it's true. How they make decisions, a little bit about the basics on how we can work with it. Not to sell the training, that's not my idea, but the training has 4 days, so I cannot put 4 days in 1.5 hour. But I like to give you at least all the tasting and why it's so important for you. And most of you, or many of you, did the 3 brains test. I said this morning to Latka, most times I see an email coming in when somebody did the test. So this morning my inbox was just exploding. I think, what happened? On a Saturday morning, my inbox is exploding. So putting on my glasses, oh wow, many people did the test. And then you got an email back with your results and a little bit of insight and what the 3 brains mean. Why is it so important? let's do a little test to let you feel it. Because I can talk about hours, is more about that we can become aware about it. Now, how do they make decisions that are actually in charge of mine, yours, and our client's life? Let's do a little test. Just imagine the following situation. You are manager of a department. You have 10 people in your department, but the company and your department, hence, are not doing good. Financially, they're in a stress. So the decision is made from the executive board. We made people redundant. So that means for your team, you have 10 employees, half of them should be made redundant. And all the 10 have the same competences. Now some external consultant came in. Let's just call him Christopher Snijders, because then at least we know who to blame. Gives you 4 options. The first option you get to choose from is you let go of the 5 older employees. Production-wise, that would be the best decision. What's the consequence? Those 5, probably based on their age, will never find a job again. That means their finance situation, economic situation will really be horrible. The other one is you let go of the 5 younger employees. They, based on their age, they will find a job rather easily. They will be employed again within 1-2 months. The only thing is, those 5 were actually your colleagues before you got a promotion. They were your friends. And one of them was actually your mentor, why you could get a promotion. Option B. Option 3 is you use a LIFO. Last in, first out. That means if you would do that, from the 5, that 5 people work already 15 years for the company, and 5 work less than 2 years. Based on the growth ideas the company had, you got a lot of new employees. If you would choose for that, you have 3 older and 2 younger employees. Option D is, Chris, you're an amazing coach, maybe, but as a consultant, really, you should go back to the school. I cannot choose from these options. And just in the chat, there is no right and wrong. Just what would you choose based on this information? A, B, C, D. Just put it in the chat, please. Non-call-paste is not possible. Then it is probably D. I just assume D. D. Okay, I think I should really go back to the university to do some consulting studies. Oh, luckily I don't take this personal. C or D. Because that depends on the situation. You're so right. This is just a little snapshot of a real situation. Option E, everybody works half-time. Yokashar, I love your creativity and your insight and also thinking outside the box and don't fit. You'd right away make me think about the book from the Gallup organization, First Break All the Rules. So love that, love that insight. You know what's the beauty of this? I did this test a lot of times, this little test. And I could predict it, the answers. 80% of the coaches chooses C or D. If I do this test in the business world, then 90% of production, finance, or CEOs chooses A. So then the question arises when we now think about 3 brains, which brain of you is making that decision? Was it a logical decision of you? Did you just put it in an Excel sheet and put logic in there? Was it your heart? What felt for the people? Or was it more your gut that thought, hey, what's good for me? And there is no right and wrong, eh? Or was it maybe all 3 of them? There is no right or wrong, but we all make decisions. Our life is always make a decision. I chose for a water now next to my glass. That's a decision. I could have had a cup of coffee here, but I made the decision to have a water. All the things we do in our life is based on decisions, consciously or subconsciously. So what does this mean in real life? And I knew that this answer would happen actually, because when I saw it coming in, all your scores, I saw head brain highest, then a little bit lower heart brain, and a real drop in gut brain. That means we choose for a logical option, we choose for the people option, or we choose for the me option. And the me option most times is A. And the logical option most times is D, or sometimes C. And the heart brain could be sometimes also C or D. B most times not. So what does it mean for us as coaches? That actually, if you would put it in a graph, our three brains, from how do we make decisions, that we find a disconnection between us and our executive level clients on heart and gut level. We choose differently. And then most times I talk about executive level, the C-suite or one level down. So executive board of one level down. If you go more to middle management or lower management, you see the heart brain coming up there, actually. Because in old day society, we still need a lot of gut brain or elbows to get on the top, to become the alpha male. And you find each other actually in the head brain, in the logic, in the questions. And if you look at our coaching skills, ICF makes sense. If you go to an average coaching program, they will be focused on the quality of the questions and the questioning skills and listening skills, all, in my words, rational skills. And the empathic skills or the confrontational skills are less taught. I say less, I will not say not, because we have so many schools out there, I cannot put them all in one basket. So knowing this, that we all choose different, and there is actually no right or wrong. Now, maybe for the production, we could say there is a right one. If you look from finance, maybe A is the best. But if you think from people orientation or fairness, probably B or C is better. And the option actually, everybody 50%, but is also a really beautiful one, or all the others. And so knowing this as a little teaser we have. And I talk about three brains like it is true. Let's just put one step back. Is it actually true? Because I say it so quickly, it is proven and those kind of things. Is that true? Yes, it is true. And there is an, say, just logical explanation, and there is a scientific explanation. What's logical explanation and scientific? I don't know how it's with you, but when I was young and went for my first studies, this was being the truth. We have three brains in our head, the triune brain theory. We have a reptilian brain that is responsible for all our primitive actions. We have an emotional brain where we can feel and be sympathize, and we can have a neocortex brain, the human brain, to make it simple. And evolution created those three layers. Now, this is scientifically proven totally wrong. I first had a little bit stronger word there, but I got an advice to make it a little bit more neutral. This is totally bullshit. I will just say it. And why I make it so strong, because it's still educated out there. The amygdala hijack, scientifically untrue. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Scientifically not true. We only use 10% of our brain. Scientifically not true. But these kind of popular science go through the area, and this is scientifically not true. So when I came aware that it is scientifically not true, of course, the first question I had, okay, if that's not true, then who is in charge of our primitive instincts? Who is in charge of our emotions? Who takes care of our bonding? And then there is a logical explanation and scientific explanation. What's the logical one? That is this one. I'm going to introduce you to your grandparent. Here he is. This is a living creature. You can still find it in the sea. So outside in the water. So I know Walter knows the answer because he followed my training. So Walter is the only one who's done, and Teresa also, so they're not allowed to give the answer. But what kind of living creature is this? If you can give the right answer, I right away give you one. I give you a 1 hour free brain coaching session, just as a little gift. If you're wrong, you have to give me coaching session. mangrove, crustacean, amoeba. Nope, nope, no, no. I'll get it. I've got bacteria. Nope, 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 nope. A turtle. Nope. I hear words that I even don't know. No, no. Now I have to go into my own biology lessons. What do they mean with that? What's an algae? What's that? No, you know what it is? It's a sea cucumber. Ah, I see Agatha really almost falling over. Yes, a sea cucumber, for the people who don't know that, looks like a cucumber, but it's actually a living animal or creature. I don't know if it's an animal. It comes from the sponges. And what's now amazing of this living creature, and you can find it almost in every sea. By the way, never touch. Now you know it, never touch. It is poisoned. What is amazing of this little living creature? What is it missing? What does it not have? You can see it has an endoskeleton, respiratory, intestine, stomach, tubercle feet, a brain. Yes, a brain. Up, he cheat. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Roshana, it is correct. It doesn't have a brain. That's one. It misses something else. It does not have a head. That's true. No sense organs, absolutely no spine. An heart. Ashish, yes, you go for the 10 points. It does not have a heart. This living creature does not have a head or a heart. Okay, now with all the jokes, what does that mean? If you now think about, say, us, we in the Western world, I always talk the Western world, we put all the emphasis on our head. Since the famous sentence of the French philosophist, I think, therefore I am. We put all the emphasis here. But actually, in numbers, most living creatures, and predominantly in the sea, live there without a heart or even without a gut, without a head. What it actually means when I became aware of that we could redefine how we think about it. And for the people who ever read the book, The Body Keeps the Score from Bessel van Kolk, and I see a nod from Marcella van Doorn. Kijk, he writes, and he's a professor of the Boston University as a psychiatrist, 40 years of studies. He's now in his 70s. He writes actually, the current science says that actually all our strong gut-wrenching emotions and trauma and other kind of things are actually stored in the body. And they communicate via the nerve systems or via other systems with us. And if that's really true, and it is true, it means we have to redefine how we actually work with, in his words, patients, because he's a psychiatrist, or with our clients. Because it means that logic is not the answer anymore. Yes, the body keeps the score. Bessel van Kolk. In the last slide, by the way, I have some books if you like to read of it. So on the last slide. So what does it mean? This is logical. And now the other step, when we were born, and actually before we came out of mama, and we were for the first time connected with mama, where were we connected with mama? In the womb. Was that like an avatar, say, at the end of our head? No, it was in your belly button, your gut. Why on there? Because food is the most important thing. Our navel, absolutely, you're so right. And when we are born as a little, or our cells start dividing, actually life starts from the gut. We have 3 different kind of layers of cells. One layer becomes spinal cord and skin. One layer becomes internal organs. One layer becomes a little bit other kind of, it becomes all the all the little veins. And from the gut, little things moves out to the spinal cord and the skin. And from there also it goes to the heart. And from there it grows even further and it goes to the head from the spinal cord. And we originate actually from the gut. And in my book, I write about it. Ivan Yankovich is a Russian-American professor in the 40s, writes already, actually the gut is the main system and the heart and the head are actually servants or extra subsidiaries on that system because we get more and more complex. And to manage all the complexity we have, we are warm-blooded animals. We have so many body cells, 100 trillion body cells. To manage that, we need something like a little control center. And I like to say, if you like to think about it, think about an airport and all the planes. All the planes are actually all our organs and body cells. And the little tower in the airport, the control center, knows all the planes, knows everything that's happening, knows the weather, and can give advices what to do with a plane, but will never be in control of it. The plane can still listen or not listen to the directions. It can listen to take an extra round, go down, land or not land. And this one is the control center. But it does not mean it's always in charge, although it looks like it's in charge. Because all the things can still act independently. Now, let's say the logical explanation. What is the scientifically explanation? The gut brain, Michael Gershon wrote in his book, The Second Brain in the 80s. Really, for me, a life-changing book, that we have a real gut brain, 500 million brain cells that actually really are there. When I talk about, say, the brain in the gut, it has the same biological, physical setup as we have here. So it has the same kind of neurons, at the same time for gray matter, white matter, dendritus, axons, how they connect with each other. And more important, a real brain, it can remember and store memories. And it can make independent decisions. The most beautiful thing of your gut brain, your viscera, actually, if you would, and we don't do that for a test, if you would break your spine, your gut system can still operate by itself. It can actively, independently make decisions and act. So what is the objective? If you think about what is the objective of the brain, it has a lust for life and it has a need to survive, almost like the little cucumber. And like Michael Gershon says, it is not Shakespeare, it is not Dante, it just does the dirty, shitty work, but an amazing job. Day in, day out, it does an amazing job. If you think about us in coaching, what does it like to be in our behavioral stack? It likes to create personal success and safety. So one of the behavioral traits you can see if people are more gut brain is they like to have power, they like to have control, and they like to achieve. Power and control is because it makes you more safe, alpha male behavior, and succeed because if you like to live, you grab your food or you miss your food. It is winning or losing. The gut brain talks about I win or I lose. There is no gray in between. I get my food or I don't get my food. I live or I die. It's really a binary system. How does it communicate with the rest of the body? Or what is the resources, you could say? It produces almost all your neurotransmitters you need. Everything we say we have here is also produced there, except oxytocin, the love hormone. But we'll come back to that in 2 minutes. This factory can do everything. The adrenal glands on your kidneys can do everything. They can make you happy. They can make you give you reward systems. They can make you cortisol, energy, not stress, energy. Adrenaline to put you in action, make your heart beat faster, and then benzodiazepines to make you relaxed. That is something what they put in Valium. You make your own Valium. You make your own Prozac. No worries. And how does we become aware of the communication? We can feel the sensation fear. We can feel the sensation anger or rage. We can feel the sensation lust, desire. We can feel the sensation hunger or also disgust to protect us. That's the sensations, how they communicate with us. No, not in words, not in a written language, not in an email, not in a text, not in a WhatsApp. The sensations we have. And this one does its best to interpret those sensations. Because what does an not in your stomach means? Means you're fearful, maybe hungry, maybe you were eating something wrong. This one tries to get that information right. And from that, it likes to make the right decision. The second part, scientifically, your heart brain. Neurocardiologist Andrea Moore, also somewhere in the 80s, wrote a research document about, say, the little brain. He called it the little brain on your heart. It has only, on average, 100,000 brain cells. So it's really a little brain compared to the 500 million in your gut. But it has an amazing power. Why did it come to us? Because we live in social societies. Why is a heartbrain for us humans so extremely important? When we are born, let's make one step back. A giraffe or a gnu can run in 30 minutes away from a lion. How much minutes do you need after you were born to be able to run away from a lion? Or should I count in days, or maybe months, or maybe in years? For most of us, it takes 4 to 5 to 6 years before we're able to run, at least on an average speed. And really, on a good speed to outrun somebody, it takes 10 years to 15 years. We as human beings, we are the most helpless of the whole animal world, except the joeys. So you could say the joeys, if you don't know joeys, is the little baby of a kangaroo. But they are born and go climb back in the womb or in the pouch, actually, and stay there for a couple of times until they're too big for there. But we're almost the same. We actually should be able to, after we were born, climb back in the pouch of mama. We would not make mama happy, but it would help us. So what is the most important thing to survive for us as human beings? That our caregivers or parents love us and take care of us. If they don't do that, we're gone. Now, bonding is our most important survival mechanisms when we are born. If we cannot be bonded with our parents or caregivers, we're dead. So the heart is all about bonding and connection. Its responsibility is take care that you bond with the people you care about. And it could be, of course, your parents, your siblings, your school, your work, your team, your lovers, your kids, everybody where you like to care about or who are needed for your success or your survival. How does the heart do that? It has more resources in that part, or more different resources, I should say, than the gut. It has also neurotransmitters. It has oxytocin, the love hormone, what's only produced, say, in the heart and in your amygdala. It has dopamine and norepinephrine, reward and action, but also it has biophysical communication. What is that? Boom, 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 boom. And a couple of liters of blood is being transported through your whole body. That pressure in your veins, the blood that gets transported, actually communicates with all your body cells. Secondly, after each boom, 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 7 milliseconds later, your amygdala sparks up. It gets information from the heart. What should I do? If your heart is restless, your amygdala starts producing different kind of neurotransmitters. When it gets a signal from the heart, I'm feeling totally at ease. It's amazing. Your heart actually, like the pilot in the plane, says to ground control, hey, my speed is too high. Can you do something? Can you get away of those planes? Because I have to approach. So the plane is actually giving instructions to the control tower what to do. And the control tower then makes actions. And it has electromagnetic energy. The electromagnetic energy of your heart can be measured between 6 and 9 meters outside your body. There's 5,000 times more electromagnetic energy as your head produces. So if you do an ECG in your head, just imagine your heart is 5,000 times stronger in energy resources. And it also can be felt and can be seen. And everybody who does Reiki or other kind of energy work knows how it can feel. What does your heart do, say, in sensations? Was love, acceptance, passion, aversion, guilt, and has the values of good and wrong. All the sensations that keeps us bonding or makes us aware that we actually breached a relationship rule. Values of good and right, guilt and shame are there. Last but not least, of course, we have an amazing head. I will not say the other ones are more important than this one. 100 million neurons. It's 20% of all our energy is used in between our two ears. In total, 40%, up to 40% of all our energy is used by your three brains. Depends on research, between 30 and 40%. Depends. They have an issue with how to defer actually digestion and the normal energy for heart beating, how to defer that. What does your head want to do? If you now think about survival again, why do we have such a massive load of memories? What's the use of a memory? Why would you have a database of memories? Why do we need a whole library in between our ears? There's only one reason: to use it to predict the future. Only if you know what happened today or yesterday, you can maybe do a better prediction what you should do tomorrow. That's what we call learning. I love your question, Pradeep. This is the most, I would say, almost the most asked question. Where is intuition? I will right away answer it. I do one step back and we just do stop share, otherwise we keep on looking at that. Intuition is a rather interesting thing because most of us know intuition as gut-brain intuition. And actually, when you think about the sensory systems we have, without becoming, say, a psychic, our whole body is energy. Every cell sends out photons in energy. We communicate actually also with light and energy. There's research done about that by Professor Pop in Germany already 40 years ago. So we can also actually receive energy and communicate with that. So intuition is actually knowing without knowing. And although intuition is most connected with survival mechanisms and gut brain, in my wording, also your heart has intuition, who to love, who not to love, with whom to connect and not to connect. Not only from survival means, but also say from liking means. With whom do you like to cuddle or not like to cuddle? Do you have those moments when you sit next to your partner on the couch and you just move a little bit closer? That's actually your heart intuition from, hey, I like to connect with her. When the person likes to have a cuddle when he or she is sad, and you put your arm around her or him, or just hold his hand, or just that physical touch, that's actually intuition from coming to you. This one is not deciding. Your heart is actually giving it information. Only in the wordings we use intuition, not. But it has the decision making from I feel, that makes decision without knowing. So it's also what's the definition of intuition? For me, intuition is making decisions without knowing that you make the decisions. It's almost like a subconscious thing. You feel it, you sense it, you smell it. So I hope that answers the question. Coming back to say our beautiful head. Here. What is amazing, and now for us coaches, this is really, 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 really important. Did I say it was really important? Or do I have to say it again? Really, 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 really important. This is where most of us coaches and therapists, quote, quote, I could say go wrong. And I'm the first one who went 20 years wrong, so I can look in my own mirror. And that is the difference your head, your heart, and your gut have. Your head has something unique. And that's here in bold. It is the only part in our body that knows tomorrow and yesterday. It's the only part that has an awareness. So that means if we coach people, if we like to do cause and effect, only your head knows cause and effect. How will it affect you, this decision? This one has to step in. But most of what we learned and what we do is actually also coming from here. The first 7 years, according to Bruce Lipton, who wrote the book, The Biology of Beliefs, and also psychology says the imprint period, the first 7 years of your life, is actually imprinted where in your heart and your gut. All your relationships ways, how you deal with conflict, how you deal with relationships, what you say and don't say, how about culture, is actually done before the first 7 years. Your heart and gut already know. So explaining logically to your heart is not needed, or this will be good for tomorrow, your heart doesn't know. But also everything we learned in the past, all your belief systems, all your highly impactful events, let's call them trauma for the easiness, are actually stored in your heart and your gut. Every painful traumatic experience, your gut is somewhere remembering that, but still has an emotional impact. So when we have an emotional connection to a memory, your heart or your gut actually has it. And they don't know yesterday or tomorrow. So when you were bullied like me, when you're in your 15-year-old, some years ago, my heart or my gut did not know it was actually over. So when I was 30 years and had issues with trust, what was the result of being bullied, my head knew it is 15 years ago, Chris. You're now working, you're a daddy, you're married, come on, get over it. But still, I could not open myself because I didn't trust. Because this one did not know it was actually over. Only when I found a good therapist to help me in that and actually put it in my heart, actually in the past, boom, almost in a second it's over. Because the moment this one knows it's not there anymore, it just falls away because it's done. You could imagine it. I don't know who of you has a dog, but you can only reprimand or compliment the dog in a moment. If your dog did something wrong and after 10 minutes you're going to complain about him, the dog doesn't know anymore. The dog lives in the moment. And that's the same for us, or your heart and your gut, they live in the moment. I will not say your heart or your gut is a dog because I don't like to insult you, but it has the same way of working or thinking or acting. So in our coaching, that means we have to connect with ourselves. Hence, when you go to somatic coaching, body awareness coaching, they use the body. Only they use the body too much. They don't integrate it always there. What does your head likes to do as an objective? Learning, understanding, reasoning, and creating. Creativity is also here. The only thing is when you like to go into a creative state, you actually have to feel safe because creative also means making mistakes. And your head really dislikes to make mistakes because that could be a wrong prediction. So the only moment you can be creative is when you're actually totally feeling safe and at ease. Hence why a guy was sitting somewhere in a bar tube and said, Eureka! I now know the upwards motion of water. Or Newton, who was sitting underneath a tree, just being relaxed, doing nothing, and saw an apple falling down and thought, yes, law of gravity. Those amazing insights were not found sitting behind the computer, totally stressed, working on deadline. Because in that moment, your creativity does not step in. Now, this is scientifically reasoned about it. So let's skip that one. So why is it now so hard to achieve our goals or our clients? Let's talk about the clients because we are amazing. We are coaches. Actually, what I said, the reason one is your three brains have a different responsibility. They like to do future prediction, they like to belong, or they like to have personal safety. So from the moment onwards now, I'm going to warn you. If you don't like to have an advice that will ruin and make your life happy in the same moment, close your ears. The moment, now I'll come back later. The moment you say to somebody, why don't you follow your heart? You actually say, follow the belonging guide. If you say to somebody, just follow your gut, you say, actually think about yourself and your success. If you say to somebody, just follow your logic, you only say, think about future prediction. You don't use anymore the three wisdom centers we have inside us. And what's now the pity of that reason one? As I said, they don't have the same language. Besides the time difference. Now, what's the second one? Just like you saw in the first exercise we did, most of us chooses with one or two brains. That's why we choose for A, B, C, or D, or maybe E. We didn't use all our three brains, most of us. And what happens if we don't use that? We fall back to our most dominant brain and we choose from there. Bam. And it makes sense because habitual reasons, what worked in the past, why would you change it in the future or in the now? And so it all makes sense. This is why it's hard for us and for our clients actually to change. So how can we work with that? And what can we do? I would just say we have a lot of knowledge now. Then let's do a little exercise to become aware how your three brains actually communicate and talk, if you're open for that. I'll do a stop share for the moment so we can see each other again and you can see me a little bit more. We're going to do a nice and strange exercise on the same moment. Strange is, of course, is a judgment, but I just warn you. We're going to connect with our three brains and let them talk. So how we're going to do that is an extremely easy exercise. I just give the instructions, then we're going to do it. We're going to do it all together. It makes it easier. And Walter knows this exercise. That's good. Teresa knows this exercise. We're going to do my name is for you too. So you know, oh yeah, I know that. So what we're going to do is to put your fingers. We don't do it now. You put your fingers on your third eye after you sit straight and just take a relax. And you say, my name is, and I would say my name is Christoffel. And just come aware, how does your head respond? Now, we shake off, you put your fingers on your heart and say the same, my name is Christoffel. You come aware how your heart responds. Then we put your fingers on the second chakra, somewhere that is 2 centimeters underneath your belly button. You say it again, my name is Christoffel. You come aware how does area respond. This is your own name, so I don't expect massive things going to happen. But you just come aware, okay, this is actually how to respond on something that is familiar to me, that is true. And then in the second exercise, we do the same, only you can use then something different. You can do, I would say, 3 things. One, you can say it in your start saying it in your own, now you can do it right away. You use a nickname you had in the past, how your parents or your brothers, your siblings, or maybe your schoolmates called you. I have a nickname how my older sis always called me. So if I use that, that's P-O-F, POF, because I could never pronounce my whole name Christoffel when I was young. So always called me is POF, P-O-F. So my sis is the only one, you know it now, my sis is the only one who can call me like that. So don't start using that. But when I say my name is POF, I still feel that little childish feeling inside myself. And I start giggling. To come aware, hey, your 3 brains respond differently if there's an emotion connected. If you don't have a nickname, you can also use a fake name. If you like to be upset, you just choose from somebody you don't like Donald Trump. Or and if you really love cricket, then you can use your famous cricket player. And just see how would you respond if your name is one of the famous cricket players. That's for most people, or another sports person. Of course, if you like another sport, choose another sport. If you like to be Mike Tyson, okay, that gives something away from you. So that's what we come to. And the only thing is to create an awareness, actually, that you come aware they respond and they communicate with you only in different kind of ways. So when you're ready, and of course, if you don't like to be seen sitting here like this is the only moment you can really shut off or turn off your camera. If you don't like to be exposed, that's totally okay. Not everybody is so willing to be exposed for your 15 minutes of fame. Now, if you're not muted, please, okay, everybody's muted, that's okay. Otherwise, we hear all the voices through each other. So I just say to everybody, just sit straight up. And if you want, you can even stretch yourself for a moment. Come aware if your feet are on the floor. Take a deep breath, and if it's possible, a belly breath. So expand your belly. When you're sitting straight, I would just invite you to put 2 fingers, say just above your eyebrows. You take a deep breath again, and then you just say out loud, and please say it out loud. My name is. And just come aware how your head responds. What's the sensation you come aware of in your head when you say that? And for some people, it helps if they even close their eyes. They're more than inwards focused. When you've done that, please take away your fingers from your head. Take a deep breath, maybe move your shoulders, shake yourself up, and put 2 fingers on your heart. Feel how your heart beats and how it loves you. And then please say again, my name is. And come aware how your heart responds when you say that. You can take an exhale stretch yourself out, and put your 2 fingers on your belly button. Or just underneath your belly button, to be precisely. Take a deep breath, exhale, and say it again. My name is. And come aware how your area there responds. And say, I don't expect massive emotions. For some people it does. If you did it in your own language, it does. And I just invite you to use your own nickname or a fake name. But choose one that could be an emotional connection with. Don't just choose Peter if you never know about the Peter. But then choose Jos Verstappen, the Formula One guy who won the Formula One last time. And choose somebody. And of course, if you like to be strange, you can always say, my name is Rihanna. And then sit down, put your fingers on your head, take a deep breath. And just say, my name is, and then the name you chose. And come aware how your head responds when you say that. And then put 2 fingers on your gut, please. On your heart, please. Sorry. And I say it again. My name is. And come aware how your heart responds when you say that. And if you've done that, bring 2 fingers to your gut. And then just say, my name is. Yeah. So I'm curious when we've done that. What did you become aware of? You can put it in the chat. You can speak out loud. What did you experience? Was it the same? Was it different? Did you have different kind of sensations or answers from inside? Did you become aware that actually you have different kind of responses on the 3 levels? No notable difference, Diman. So not by using your own name, there's a different kind of knowns, different responses. Sensations in the feet. I'm not going to psychologize what it means if you have sensation in your feet. There's actually more to become aware. Hey, your body responds in different ways. My nickname put a smile on my face. Evoked personal memories. Now, Raya Raman, that's actually what happens. On that moment, your heart or your gut connects actually somewhere with the past and the memories it had there. And this exercise, I don't use too much with my clients. Only when they become aware, I cannot feel my heart and I cannot feel my gut, what is happening. Ah, sweet Teresa, the personal revelation. As she shares, I use my name Teresa, but it's in the business world, where Maite, my nickname was how I was called when I was a child and teenager, until I started to work. There's a lot of emotion in my heart with my nickname. Very lovely. And that's actually what happens. And if people think, well, how does that work? Just one step to the side, different sensations. Maybe you heard about it, maybe not. But in heart transplantations, so when a person gets a heart of somebody else, research has been done on that people have actually memories and sensations and habits and even preferences are also transplanted. And the most famous case is that a child around 10 years got a heart from another child. it got a lot of state of intrusive memories of being killed. So it went to a psychiatrist and then finally also to the police. They found out the donor heart or a dorsum person, and that child was actually killed, murdered. And based on the intrusive dreams and memories of that child who got a new heart, they found actually the killer. It is too strange to be true, but it is true because it was really documented by police, psychiatrists, hospitals, and all those kind of things. And that's the most intrusive. And there are many, 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 many things from people who like to eat something, who don't like to eat something anymore, or really get those kind of things. Eh? So they have a memory. Used in past life regression, yeah. Official name and nickname, yes. And so and this shows actually that if it connects with your past and your memories and emotions, that also will make decisions for you. It will bring you back. And in our normal coaching, most of us don't touch on it. And so in the last half hour, how can we use this little exercise in, yeah, I would say in coaching, because it's nice to do this exercise and create this awareness, but how can we work with it in coaching? Because that's why you're here, besides that. So let's now go to, say, a client who I once spoke to. And then you become aware how you can actually transfer these feelings actually in communication. Because what's the beauty of it? If you like to express your sensations, it has to bypass your head to make words of it. A different sensation, energy at 3 places. And a nickname brought memories of person who called that. And so the moment you, that's from Simi, the moment you start verbalizing it, your head gets connected with it as a servant and start verbalizing. So when we verbalize our things, we can actually become aware, hey, which brain is talking? So just imagine I saw a client and he got a request from his CEO. And she said to him, I want that you take this project. It's really important for the existence of our company. You're the most knowledgeable person and experienced person to do so. What do you think? Are you in? And she was really a toughy, more gut-brain dominant CEO. And after he got the request, he WhatsApped me over something like 10 minutes later. He said, Chris, I've got an issue. I have to talk to you. I said, but can we do it tomorrow because I'm stuffed today? Okay. So the next day I talked to him and he says, Chris, in his blur of words, he says a couple of things. He said, the stakes are extremely high for this project, Chris. I feel it could damage my career seriously if I fail. And he wanted to become actually a VP. He was now on director level, he wanted to become a VP. He says, Chris, it will never happen then. If I fail this project, my career could be over here. By the way, in the project, it's already running. My colleagues would depend on me based on my knowledge and experience. And in the project, there are people who are not suited for the job. So they have to go, part of them. And I don't like to be the manager and fire them off that project. It doesn't feel good for me. And he also said, but it makes sense that you ask me, because I'm the most knowledgeable of this person. I'm the best one in the whole company about this. So it makes sense. I should say yes. And then he said, help me. I don't know what to do. And I said, actually, last night I did not sleep. And the CEO already texted me 3 times before we spoke. And I'm just avoiding my text messages from her. What should I do? And of course, as a coach, you always say, I don't know what you have to do. I'm not there to make your decision. I'm there to help you to make the right decision. He started to laugh, said, skip the bullshit, Chris. What should I do? So I said, okay, let's first make it what's happening here. So if you now would apply this to coaching in those 4 sentences, just with the knowledge you now have, which brains are actually talking. Now, it makes sense that that you ask me, I'm the most knowledgeable person in this company about this. Which brain would be talking? Yes, absolutely, Marcella. She touched here. That's your head. So the head brain is the supporter. It makes sense that I'm doing this. So the head brain, logically, he could say yes. But then there are 2 other sentences that makes him stop. I have to fire people. That's the heart brain. His heart could not get over it that he had to fire the people. Okay? So that was stopping him based on, say, old systems from his family, an experience that he got fired once by himself, and that he was just also a more heart brain dominant person. And the other one is the stakes are too high. His gut brain was fearful. I cannot get my promotions, Chris. What will I do? And his gut brain was now in charge because he was not sleeping. So knowing this, I could coach him easier. Because I just didn't have to ask him about all the logical questions. Much more, hey, what does your heart need to say yes to this? And actually, the simple answer that came in, I said, Chris, I don't like to be the messenger. So when we solved that one, he could be in. And when we said, okay, how is it about the stakes that are extremely high? What should happen there? Then he said, Chris, when I don't have to be in charge of, say the only part who fails, if somebody would join my failure, then actually I would be okay with it. So when we did that, actually it all happened. So we could easily coach him on that one. So I'm just curious when you think about all of this, but will I take a sip of water? How easy then actually coaching can become. So I'm just curious based on this little thing. Are the questions, is it logical what I'm saying? Because for me it makes sense. But is there something else if you look at this, what you could say, hey, I'd like to know more about? Because this is actually the basis how you work with it. And from there, you're going to take, say, different kind of processes and steps to work on it. Why is the logical explanation totally wrong? Now, actually, there is no right or wrong in the logical explanation, Marcella. It's much more that, say, logically, he was totally, sorry, you got no order. He was totally in, but it was, say, his inner feelings that could not get him over him. And so his inner feelings were actually stopping him. And so when you look at it back, and when we coach people, and when we normally coach people, we ask, hey, what do you need to overcome it? And based that this was in his head, he could not understand why he did not say yes. Because it made totally sense. And actually, I don't know if you know that feeling that you are hungry and go to the bar and go to the kitchen. And then logically you say, I will just go for, I don't know, an apple or something healthy. And then when you go into the kitchen and you see, say, maybe some nice, beautiful cakes or the leftover from yesterday and all those kind of things, you, oh, I like that. And then actually your gut brain takes over. So now actually here's the same. Logically, he was fighting with himself, said, Chris, it makes all sense I have to do so. Why can I not just say yes and let go of the fear? Why do I make such a fuss about, say, sacking the people? Because in real life, we have to sack people. Because what he wanted to do and what most of us likes to do is we like to bring the topic that our heart, our gut are presenting, we like to bring it to our head and start analyzing and solving it here. Because the moment you ask, what would be logical to do, you bring the topic from the heart and the gut to your head, and you don't listen to the needs of the heart or the gut anymore. Because the heart or the gut need probably something else, have a different kind of need than the head to solve it. Because his first logical question is when Chris, I just make a little list of the people who are not the most best for the job. I just make a list who could be better, and I just present it. And that's the logical validation here. And when I ask him, what's stopping you of doing that? He said, yeah, it doesn't feel good to do that. And he could not get over his feelings. So in short, it would be appropriate to conclude that the question needs to be based on the thought, feeling, or emotional level. Yes, you're totally right. In the solution part it is. And then we have only one issue. And that's now say one issue, we don't have one issue. It makes it hard in three-brain coach, but this is logical. And this works when we can access all our three brains. And so we can, if we could access all our three brains, this works. We can just ask the question, what would your heart need? What does your gut need? What does your head need? Easy. And now we have a topic that makes it difficult. Based on all our learnings, sometimes we cannot access them. If we have really strong belief systems, it's hard to access the other brain. No, I live in Spain. I'm Dutch, I live in Spain as an example. In Holland, when your parents get old, you are looking for an aged care center. In Spain, your parents get old, you bring them in your own house. Now, what is logical to do? What is logical the best? Now, logic, you find the answers, only your heart brain, based on culture, will override the system, will not allow you to make that hard decision. The average Spanish could not choose for the gut brain decision, let's put our parents in the aged care center. Well, the average Dutch would not really step into this heart brain for, okay, let's bring my parents at home. So when there are really strong beliefs, they actually hijack, in my words, one of your brains, and one of the other brains gets blocked and cannot be accessed anymore. So people cannot feel their heart or cannot feel their gut anymore. Now, people who once experienced betrayal or have a divorce or maybe have a death in the family can come aware their heart is almost shut off. And it's really hard for people then to access their heart anymore. When people are educated, and you see that a lot, say, in socialization of the oldest child, or do with all respect, in an extremely masculine, feminine, or culture, that when as a child, you have to take care of all your brothers or sisters, or that you're not allowed to speak out or not allowed to do your own things. You have to serve. On that moment, in your whole educational system, your gut brain is actually suppressed. You have to follow the needs of the family, you have to follow the needs of whatever's. And you see then later in life that people actually have massive issues with connecting with the gut again. To really feel what do I want? So you find that in a jokey way, with really strong heart brain people, just go with a really strong heart brain people to a restaurant. Then you ask, what would you like to eat? Or where would you like to eat? What's the response then of those people? Where would you like to eat? I said, I know where I like to eat, but I'm curious where you like to eat. No, it's not important where I eat. What do you want? They are totally unable to express their own needs. And on that moment, when you do say this logical exercise, what would your gut say? They cannot access it anymore because they don't know. They don't feel. Because their gut brain is actually turned off. So yes, in a logical, if people can access their three brains, you can do it in a logical way. But what you say, the questions are based on thought, feeling, or emotions. Totally sense. When there is somewhere like a blockage, you have to do some other kind of things. Yes, and Rajana says, but beliefs in the past would have been created based on one brain being predominant in a group of people. Absolutely. When we get educated, they put that pressure from their needs on us. Like in simple ways, I make it extremely binary 0-1. Everything that has to do with relationships based on belief systems is stored in your heart. Everything that's a traumatic, highly impactful event that has to do with safety is stored somewhere in your gut. So most of the and belief systems and values are different. And most values we have are stored in your heart because they're about good and right. Because values show actually how you deal with other people or with society around you. They're guidelines how you deal, say, with your surroundings. Values, they're heart-based. Beliefs, we learn them based on experiences a lot of times. The first time like I did once when I was young. I wanted to be 13 years old. I wanted to be a tough boy. My granddad was smoking cigars. So once when I was being at their place, I borrowed a cigar. Because say I stole a cigar, but let's call borrowing. That sounds sweeter. And as a 13-year-old boy, I took a sip of the cigar. I don't know if you ever did that, but cigars, if you inhale them in your lungs, if you're 13 years old, you almost pee your pants. My granddad came aware of it and let me smoke the cigar. By the way, he got a slap from my grandma that he was so rude to me, but it was later on. I never forget that experience anymore because it made me sick until my toes. I never smoked a cigar after that anymore. Because that's almost like a gut-brain experience because I was totally sick from it. And the heart-brain belief system is when we get, say, almost conditional loving. You're a good boy if you do this. You're a good girl if you do that. Your belief systems in your heart are conditioned that you are something if you do something. And based on that learning, you start doing that. And most perfectionists in life are coming from the heart brain. You don't like to feel sad that your parents are not proud of you. You don't like to disappoint your parents. So you come home as an 8, you say, oh, were you the highest score in class? No, Peter was better. Oh, so you were not the best. No, it's okay, or I don't care. You still have an 8. And the little boy or girl thinks, oh, I'm rejected by mama or daddy. Next time I will do better. And then actually your belief system build up in your heart. Is it not part of all the 3 brains? Yes and no. We all communicate through one system. So I cannot say we're only heart, we're only gut, we're only something else. It's impossible to say that. But predominantly, based on their memory systems and their responsibilities, they get more stored in one system. 101 is my dog. It gets stored in your head. That's a logical question. But values are stored more in your heart because they're about relationships. Beliefs that connect with people are more stored in your heart. And of course, they're always connected with memories here. Say this database of 100 trillion cells has a massive amount of memories that is actually split in how it's stored in sound, in smell, and in visualization, and split. But it has a connection via the ventral vagal nerve, parasympathetic, and the sympathetic nerve with our body. Because your nerve system communicates 90% up and 10% down. But only your heart and your gut knows, say, that basic yes or no's, if it makes sense. Other kind of questions, because let's go into, say, some more Q&A. How can, based on this, what would you like to know more?
Could unmute and ask or type in the chat window.
How can we create more balance? Extremely good question, Rajans. How can we create more balance? There are 2 answers on it. There are more answers. So it depends. How do you see balance? Say balance without solving anything to make it easy is actually what we learn in meditation, in yoga, in mindfulness. Because when we are, say, more in our gut brain, say in that fear state or stress state, then your breathing is actually shorter. And so then breathing helps. So one of the best ways to do it quickly to create more balance is actually doing an, say, forced breathing pattern. You can do the circular breathing, 4 seconds, 4 seconds. Squared breathing, 4 in, hold 4, 4 out, hold 4. Why that helps? Because if you inhale, you activate your sympathetic nerve. When you exhale, you activate your parasympathetic nerve. By regulating them in the same pattern, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, you balance out actually your system again. Because if you're out of balance, one of the nerve systems is firing more. And there's one important thing, more practical techniques to make it useful in coaching. Now, breathing is always useful in coaching. When my client comes in and they're whatever, I always say, let's do some breathing first. Balance. Sometimes with clients, I even ask them, just put their hand on your heart or your gut. When I say, hey, what's your gut saying? Put your hands on your gut. And what's your heart telling you? Put your hands on your heart. By the way, I never say to a client, what's your heart brain or your gut brain doing? Because in that moment, you end up in a discussion you don't like to be there. But breathing is the technique that helps the best. By the way, what also helps, that's totally useless for coaching, is do 20 push-ups or 20 lunges. Why is that? Because you put so much effort in a survival mode that your sympathetic, parasympathetic nerve system actually regulates again. By the way, one sidestep, I talk about the nerve system. And there's one thing for people who maybe know the polyvagal theory, what by the way is scientifically also totally debunked and totally wrong and totally shit. To make it so strong that you think, what does he say now? What is a nerve? Is a nerve an independent cable in your body, or is it something else? Because that's really important when you talk about how you use it also in coaching, when we talk about parasympathetic, sympathetic nerve system. Now, to make the answer, if you have a brain cell, say this is a brain cell, a neuron has many things coming out. They're called dendrituses, and dendritus is a receive unit, is a receive cable that's connected with other brain cells, and it communicates via that. And it has one other thing coming, and that's an axon. And an axon is the send out. So when a nerve cell or when a brain cell wants to communicate, a signal, electric signal, goes out of the axon. That gets connected with a dendritus from another one, and hence how they communicate. Now, this axon, this dendritus, is what we call a nerve. A nerve is not an independent entity. A nerve is actually the outsides of a brain cell or the receiving cells of a brain cell. That's a nerve, nothing else. So when we talk about activating the nerve system, it's actually what we say, activating your brain cells. By activating your breathing, you actually communicate right away with your neurons, heart brain, gut brain, head brain. That's why it has an effect, because actually it regulates your brains again. That's why breathing is so useful. How bring the awareness to what the three brains are telling us? Actually, why did I let you do the exercise, Raman? It's actually to come aware how your sensations are. And that exercise from what's my head saying, what's my heart saying, what's my gut saying, is an exercise to create awareness. Because they communicate for every person in their unique way, in sensations. From having tingling in your feet, to having a warm feeling, to having colors, to having memories, to having a crunchy feeling, a stretch. And there's coming aware actually, what are the sensations? What do they mean for me? Say I would really sit with them and come aware of them. What would they like to tell me? I don't know who of you does mindfulness, but in mindfulness, when a thought or a sensation is coming up, what you do is actually being with it. You be with it and you observe it. And in that observation of the sensation of the thought could create an awareness. Now, actually, to do that, it's also what we should do. It's creating an awareness and sitting with it for a moment. That means for a lot of us, especially in the business world, something really strange. Where you have time pressure, where you have to arrange things, where you have to be quick, and don't like to sit down. Now, if you now just open one of the newspapers, and you will see that people are more stressed, more burnt out, especially in the Western world, more tired, and all those kind of things. Because we don't allow ourselves to sit down with it anymore. Proprioception, Anna Maria Valonce Fidel, as like Amanda Blake would say, Amanda Blake wrote the book, The Body is Our Brain, or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. She talks about proprioception, that are the different ways of how we actually observe. And proprioception is actually creating an inner awareness. Thanks for making me aware of that, Anna. Thank you. Do the three brains work differently between men and women? Oh, my old book, I'm now going to say it. I cannot, now you get me on my, this is my old book, How Men and Women Fit, Three Brain Theory. And it is rewritten by this book. If you read that book, you will become aware I'm a feminist. For men and women, it works exactly the same. Of course, with a biological difference that women can become mama and we are only the producer of some semen. So there is a little different in the womb case, but our three brains are the same. Yes, we have more testosterone than females, they have more estrogen, but those are hormones. But the decision-making units are the same. In my book, there's an example about two tribes in India, actually, I think, or in Bangladesh, where actually one, the men are favored, and one, the female are favored. And the results in their upbringing, when they're adults, you see the same results. We are socialized to do so. My oldest son is, now not he is pregnant, his partner is pregnant. And let's make it correctly. They're going to get a girl. What color do you think the room has? They painted the room. What's the color of the room? Blue or pink? Pink. We socialize already the baby from day one that girls should be pink. When you talk about, say, boys, when a boy plays outside and has a scratch on his knee, what do most people say? Oh, that's good. What happens if a girl plays outside, plays soccer and scratches her knee? Girls don't do that. We are so socialized as men and women that we label them in a special force, in a special color. Men should be strong, not show emotions. We must be whatever. And this is my pedestal, masculine and feminine traits. If you really like to have gender inequality, let's talk about masculine and feminine traits. Masculine traits are strong, decisive, blah, blah, blah. Masculine, men. Feminine traits are soft, caring, understanding, feminine. And we label them and put them on men and women. Well, actually, you could say gut brain, heart brain. But the moment I say to you guys, hey guys, who likes to be more feminine? Who likes to have more feminine traits? Who gets enthusiastic of you? Probably not a lot. When I say, ask you guys, hey, who likes to have a little bit more heart brain capacity? And train your own heart brain. Most men would say, yes, I'm in. The same for women. If I say to a woman, hey, who likes to become a little bit more masculine? Not a lot of women would now raise their hand. But if I would ask, hey, who would like to train their gut brain a little bit more? Get a little bit more, put your friend in the seat, defend your own boundaries. Most women would say, yes, please let me do that. When we start changing also masculine, feminine in gut brain, heart brain, it becomes more accepted to train our three brains. Because isn't it not stupid? I know it's a closed question and a negative closed question, but I just like the answer that you confirm with me. That we have three wisdom centers in our body, three brains. And we as humans train only one or two of them. We don't train all three of them. Isn't that stupid? That would be the same if you go to the gym and only train your biceps and never train your triceps. But nobody would do that. If you would start walking and only use one leg, it would be totally crazy. But we as humans educate our kids that for boys we train their gut brain and for girls we train their heart brain instead of training all their three brains. And yeah, if you ask the question about feminine, masculine, right away, or men and women, I get say on my pedestal because we could create so much more beauty in this world if we would start training all our three brains. We normally talk about different states of mind, but heart and gut are in a sync with a state of mind consistent every time. Now, yes, we are always connected with each other, but it doesn't mean we always have the same emphasis on everything. Some are more silent than others. I'm now more in my head on this moment and in my action mode and in my connect, than really sitting at ease and being in my that's connect mode. Because I also like to get in there. But they are all connected. What's the role of the wisdom tooth? I don't know. That I think the wisdom tooth is a word we use because it comes later in our life. I think we get it when we're 8, 9, or 10. So there's somewhere we connected, say, with the change in lives. If you like to know more, I cannot say it in the last 5 minutes, but if you think about brain waves, they have different states. You have the deep delta state, theta state, alpha state, beta state, gamma state. Actually, in our lifetime, we also go through those states of awareness in the first 2 years, to the years of 6, 7, 8, to the years of 13 and after 13. Actually, we have 4 states of brain waves on general. When we move to, say, a more full beta state when we are 13, or to a more alpha state when we are 7, 8, in that period of time, also wisdom tooth comes in. And what it actually means that this one gets more connected and gets more there. So for me, I would actually say that is connected with each other. But the tooth by itself, isn't the 3 brains related to the Maslow? Absolutely. The 3 brains is nothing new. We have our brains already for thousands and millions of years. And if you think about Maslow, disc profiling, Enneagram, and all those things, of course, they observed behavior, where it was maybe coming from, and put it in little boxes. In my words, an outside-in approach. What I do is an inside-out approach. And of course, they connect with each other. Otherwise, it would not make sense. I think about 3 brains. What is their functionality? What do they do? Inside out. Maslow, the pyramid of needs, disc profiling, Enneagram, the 5 big traits, even MBTI, they have an outside-in approach from, hey, there are different behaviors, different perspectives. Hey, how does it fit? And we find each other somewhere halfway. So with all of your tests, you find somewhere a connection. But yes, Pavlov says the first is a gut brain, you need your heart brain, and at the end, self-actualization, you could say it's your head brain. It makes totally sense. So in the last 3 minutes, last words, last questions, last things.
Continuing on that conversation, as you said, inside out, right? So if you're looking at more inside out, and if you look at it from the spiritual perspective, from the soul perspective, how would you relate that to the brain? Because for like the gut is just related to the survival, which does not come in the spiritual field at all.
That's a beautiful question. I didn't put it here because the spiritual question, the energy is always there. And so I don't. In that part, when you also then hit quantum physics, then comes, let's say, a little bit less tangible because we don't know what's first, what's second. But that we're all our energy, that quantum physics works in that there's a spiritual world. Otherwise, Reiki and all those kind of things would not exist in consciousness. And we observe it and we measure it and we research it, so it's true because it's there. Has a huge influence. What is first, what is second is hard to say, but based on the quantum physics, we're all energy and everything never gets lost. And based on the entanglement theory, it means even after our death or before our death or during our lifetime, we are connected with others. The conscious universe. So that makes sense. Is it a separate wisdom or not? I don't know. That's really an I don't know. I could have my ideas about it, but that it is there and that we can tap in it, because the qualities of Einstein, although he's dead, all the energy he had in his head, in his body, is somewhere out in this world. So we could even tap to energy-wise to that wisdom somewhere, if you would make it spiritual or connectional. And the same that based on science, if you would do it, that the air that Einstein inhaled and also exhaled is so spread over the world that if we inhale during a day, we all inhale a little bit of the air Einstein also once exhaled. So if we inhale during the day, at least we get one air atom, oxygen inside the lungs that once was exhaled by Albert Einstein. So yes, in that part, I would say there's a conscious wisdom. And how that connects with the three brains, because they sense it.
Thanks, Krishna.
Yes.
There was one question, Christopher, from Pradeep saying, you know, from the language of the coachee, how do you figure out which brain they're talking about?
That's a good question. What I said, and I had it in my slides, but I thought it doesn't fit in the timing. I will not say, I would of course say read my book, but that is an easy answer. Although for €10, it's the most cheapest option you can have. But in this book, what comes out over 3 weeks, I have a chapter about words that are being used. So we could defer words or sentences that's there. If somebody says, no, I cannot swallow this, you know for sure it's a gut brain. Swallow is digestive system. You know, it does not feel good because I cannot get this over my heart. Heart brain is talking. Chris, whatever you say, I cannot put my head around this. Boom, the head is talking. So in our language, you can almost defer it, and there are a massive amount of words. I will not say I sell my training, but in my training, because yesterday I did training about it, I have 8 pages of all kinds of words split through head, heart, and gut, because you can actually pinpoint them, just like NLP does with audio, kinesthetic, visual, auditory words. I see that visual word. Now, the same actually in 3 brain language, you could call it in that part almost a submodality. The words we use are connected with it. By the way, there's always, as you can hear, I'm extremely passionate about it. If you talk about men, women, how we can create gender equality and make this world a better place, because I love that my future granddaughter would live in a world that's better than our world in this moment. To do so, in my opinion, we need 3 brains working through society as prime ministers and as people who run the businesses, and we as coaches. When you are the amazing ones already, because you are willing to reflect on yourself and learn from yourself. So you are really the pioneers of this. I'm almost there. If you like to know more, it's always allowed to mail me or text me. I always give an answer. And you all did your 3 brains test. If you like to know more, you can even sign up for a 15 minutes free coaching session with me or an explanation about it. If you all 70 do it the next 2 months, I'm busy, but I still love it. Because the moment you know it better, you will influence all your clients, all your family members, and that little part in society becomes better. So that's my deep passion.
Are your books translated in Italian was another question.
Not yet. The first one will become Spanish, but that's also because my girlfriend is Spanish. So if I don't use Spanish as the first one, I really have a hard explanation at home. And so that will be first Spanish. But Italian, text me, Tommaso, and I love to do so. And for me, I love to promote it. So more languages, the better. I put a lot of money in there to spread the words.
I think we covered all the questions. Thank you so much, Christopher, for that enlightening session. I was packed with information, and I think we unlearned and learned a lot of new things that we can be more aware and sensitive of in our work as coaches. And we're very grateful to you for sharing so generously. And we look forward to your book. And so maybe you could put in the dates if you have them, so that people could look out for them or where they're going to come out.
I put in the chat, if you like to read more about it, The Second Brain, Michael Gershon, is still readable. Trauma and Memory from Peter Levine. It doesn't talk about 3 brains, but gives an insight how we work. The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van Kolk. Science of the Heart from HeartMath. And of course, Relationships with Brain is Talking. It's mine. And I put the Amazon link in it. It will be there in 2-3 weeks. Those are books that give you more insight how we work inside. The other one, this is the last one I could say, Gabor Mate. When the Body Says No, Gabor Mate, also not about 3 brains, it gives you a lot of insights. If you like to talk more about heart and gut brain language, Nation.
And while we're at that,
then it is this, and this I would say this is a book that talks about heart and gut brain language, nonviolent communication. Marshall Rosenberg, not Rosenberg. He talks about giraffe and heart and jackal language, and the giraffe is the heart and the jackal is the gut language. Those are books that gives you more insight, although they don't talk about three brains, it gives you much more insight about how we deal with it. I thank ICF Pune for giving me the opportunity to talk here and share my passion and my knowledge.
Thank
So
you so
namaste for that.
Thank you so much, Christoffel, and a big thank you to Shilpa, who's been managing all of the tech and backend today. And we have dropped in the chat box, those of you looking for CCUs, the form which you could fill in and submit, and you will get a certificate back from the chapter. And with that, thank you very much for the very participative audience that you all have been, and have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.